Hello, everybody. So we are glad to be here and present our project, what we've been running for 15 years, to be honest, actually. But here we will explain. We're not going to focus on the history of Elektron and the previous projects, but we will explain our platform, what we've been developing during the previous year. So maybe in first, I will, if Kika, if you agree, Christian, if I will explain a bit the background, and then we tell what's been going on our platform, and then we just showcase our ideas, what we have, and hopefully give you some inspiration for future works and ideas. So maybe first, that Elektron Live is electronic bridge between the spectator and the audience. And Elektron Live is like an online or like this virtual performing art venue, but from a bigger project, which is Elektron.art. Elektron.art has, quickly do the history because I can, that the initial idea, well, not the initial idea, but the initial project that has been going on for 15 years is a MIM project, which is network between art, technology, and science, between artists, technologists, and scientists, let's say. And we've been working from all range of projects, starting from the laboratories to the opera in Estonian National Opera. And 2020, we decided to focus on the artifacts that emerge when we combine artistic poetry and scientific knowledge. And we started a project Elektron, and then we also decided that our main format will be laboratory, but we will skip maybe the full productions and focus more on experiments, residencies, and co-productions. And then that was in the beginning of 2020. And then that's also the drawing, like what the Elektron is. And then you know yourselves what happened. I spare you from the COVID explanation. And we very quickly, we pivoted all our project to online. So we managed to do within 3 weeks to build an environment where we hosted our festival, which is called Festival of Spooky Action at the Distance. And on that festival, we did it fully online. So it was 3 weeks after the lockdown was introduced in Estonia. And I show you also a little video what happened. Like a lot of artists were like shocked, and because all the calendars were mess, and it was like anarchy in everybody's calendars. But we managed. We got 20 plus international performers who participated, and more than 3,000 people came to see our festival. And I show you a little video what happened in this festival. I also, maybe you noticed, but I just want to point out that some of artists just translated their performance to online just by playing their performance in front of a camera. Only few actually started to benefit from the new possibilities that what online environment offers. And I want to point out that it was like a tiny video. It was where Hiroki Umeda performed, and he did especially 7-minute live performance from Tokyo, what he premiered in our festival. So he created an avatar in his studio and performed his dance performance with his avatar, you know. So our main idea was like how to recreate this community feeling between the audience and performers on what they have on the physical space. So, and what our proposal was to have an audience, to propose audience to open their cameras. So the performers could see also their audience together. And we hoped that maybe like this, we hope that it is so simple. It was like in the beginning of all the Zoom live, what we still have. And kind of everybody were really happy and curious about it, like how it could happen. And everybody opened their cameras, and like I can see from that picture that people were participating freely. But at the same time, the whole idea of that both two-way interaction and two-way communication, that we can project or present the audience also to a performer, so the performer can have a relationship with the audience. It didn't really work out really in our. We have a capability of doing it, but the audience, actually performers weren't interested at all. And thanks to video lag, what comes with a video streaming, it's not real time. So the reaction will come 30 seconds later and so on. So it came out like mess, and the people weren't interested so much. So at next, okay, this is not important. Like this, I will talk about later. But during this year, we started to develop. We realized that okay, that it's not so easy. And what are the possibilities? What are the like real benefits? What can this online performing art offer? So that's the first I show like first video. And that's that was a performance where two performers were located, one in New York and one in Iran. So they performed together. And here is the video where like you can see the both screens, but actually on the performance, it was only one screen. So the performer from New York streamed her video and to Iran, and in Iran, the performer projected this video on her wall and performed with that video. And they streamed it to Estonia, and we played it. And like here, you can see that that actually on the left there is a video projection, and on the right, and also like performer is interacting in real time with that video. This video also will be, or this performance will be on our festival in the beginning of April. So that was the one concept, that how the performers can be, you know, located in different places. Then we had those are just a quick examples. Like I'm not going to focus like what and how. And there was another performance where there's like a North and South America, also in different locations where the performers, but they had an interactive setup that the audience gave them instructions. What should they do? And they did it in same time in 4,000 kilometers apart. They tried to create, you know, the feeling that they are sharing the same stage. In certain point, even you can see they used like video artists help that like how it really emerged into the one environment. That's one project we did. The Elektron was also a collaborator. That was okay. She's explaining. Ellen Berman is explaining it, but it was. I stopped sharing, and I just because I want to show how am I explaining it. The idea was that in New York, in dance studio, there two dancers from Battery Dance Company, and they were streaming their video and sound, and also they had they streamed their video and sound to the server somewhere in the cloud, in the internet. They were wearing also physiological sensors which gave data about their heart rate, galvanic skin response, you name it. And they were streaming this data in sync with their video and sound to the server. So, and this was a workshop that lasted 6 weeks last summer, that participators were from East and West Coast, Brazil, Ukraine, until India. So we're all over the globe, where the participants who accessed this data, what the performers sent, and generated in real time the video and audio in solution for that performance. And they premiered it in this Battery Dance Festival. I think that this setup was created first time in the world, that and also gave us a lot of hope that, you know, this collaboration, like especially like how interactive and digital collaboration between real people all over the globe can happen with super short lag, and it is possible. So that was our main takeaway message from it. Like here you can see, like there is like one guy is dancing, and same time that all the text and the video effects, this is all created from his movement by the people, where one lived in Brazil and the other one in Ukraine, and so the guy was dancing at the same time in New York. Also there are just to show some like visual material like that's, and the other performance, it looked like this. But I'm not going to focus so much maybe in like a software solution, how it was done and what were the protocols. I think that's not so important at the moment. And yeah, and then that was where we can, I think, move on, Kika. And that's when we realized that okay, the online performance does not only consist of a video stream made by the performer. It's something else, and that what something else there is, maybe Kika can continue, that there is like a data, and we can use this data on the performative purposes.
Good, thank you, Taavet. So basically we move on from just digitalizing classical analog performances with like regular video stream. We are moving kind of moving on both for more richer, more interactive engagement with audience, and also different, more richer, more integrated, more multimedia production side. So both audience side and the performer side is areas we want to innovate and build a kind of platform that brings it all together. What you see right now is we kind of, the user interface we're using current platform is splitting up the performer side to the left. This is area where video streams can be used. We also use several different video stream providers to make you a choice between the very short lag but a limited number of audience versus the huge kind of input lag and the massive audience. This is just a technical trade-off you have to make. And there is a live audience, hey Taavet, where we stream the audience images. We don't use audio currently. We found that working just with image frames allows to make a way more wider area of integrations and process with images, rather than trying to stream huge audience videos to each other, which is a real technical effort. And there is a chat, which is kind of expected. Everything, both the stream part, the live audience part, and the chat part is developed by ourselves. the idea is that all that traffic, and we can provide kind of richer messages where people are asking for maybe some polling and decision making, and this kind of more interactive, more richer input methods for the audience part. Taavet will show what we can do with a chat and live audience with other kind of software, because we kind of control the whole protocol end to end. And also we are thinking in the left part, what are the actual requirements for the performers beyond just providing one unit of video. We already saw this kind of split screen things. We're experimenting with kind of many different performers in the same kind of virtual stage, or even projected to a 3D space. So we are innovating both left side and the right side. Again, from a production and performance side and the audience side. So maybe Taavet, you can start to slowly to show what it would be like a performer or technical team, or a scientist, or just art group to actually integrate with our platform.
But the first, what I'm also already showing here, that from Max, in this environment, it doesn't even matter maybe so much, but there is like a Max MSP, but that's like one programming environment where I'm happy, or I'm comfortable with, is we can add, like, for example, all this page, it can be used also as interaction interface. So it's not only the performance and the audience, but at the same time, because we've been programming it ourselves, we have access to all this data what is circulating here, also on the performance purposes. And the same, but one performance what I showed this short video, there was the performers were getting instructions, and the AI was analyzing them, the content analysis, and that's different. It's not so important maybe, but they were also communicating to the spectators by, not from this chat window here, but somewhere externally. So the chat technically could be also the venue for the performer, if a performer wants to, and this can be in sync with their own video.
So the idea is that while we're using this kind of classical medias, right, the text media, the video media, the sound media, what we are looking for is this kind of superset of it, kind of synthesizing things on top of existing media types. How would the performance based on text only would look like? How you mix it with actual physical movement? What if some of the messages are interpreted or posted or communicated with with a software program? So we are looking kind of on top. We are looking for solutions which kind of transcend the traditional media types.
I can send the messages from here to chat, so the chat can be used as the text parser. Then at the same time, if everything what is written in the chat is also read in the another software, so like everything what's here, I can also reach or I can get from Max. So that means that the chat can be controlling the Max application, and using the Max application or whatever application it is you are familiar with, you can that can be one in one hand, it can be interaction, how the audience, like what is the command that they're giving, like, like in semantic means, but also it can be automatic. So in case I do performance with a green background, the text what the audience is typing in chat can be analyzed and used automatically to regenerate my background, for example. So through this chat, you can control basically everything what you can control with your computer. You can basically even launch a rocket if you want to. So that's this is as an interaction part as a chat. The same is happening with the videos here. The camera what I use, the camera is sent to Max, and I can read this video image, the audience's video image. So, and here what the noise is here, that also I'm sending back some computer generated image to a live audience. So the live audience window can be also seen, which is in sync with a performer window, because it is, they can be controlled from the same application. So yeah, that's the thing. And also the audience can be extracted separately. Every audience, so like the audience presence can be also part of the interaction. We can make a performance where light goes on physical venue. The light goes brighter with every audience member who turns on their camera, or light goes darker with every audience member who leaves the performance or switches off the camera.
So I'm now generalizing and explaining that this particular software, MaxMSP, David was showing, is just one of the many useful tools which media artists and performers and production houses do use. Our approach is that we build with integrations based on actual needs of actual performers who want to integrate with our platform. So Max was kind of a logical first step, because we, like, half of our own team is using Max, and they are not like real programmers. They are, but just visual programmers. So there are also talks about integrating open frameworks and this kind of processing and this kind of frameworks which media artists use, but we try to be there when they need that integration. So I can now generalize a little bit and kind of show what are the platform elements and what are the documentation look like. Work in progress as always. Basically, our kind of early documentation just gives you an idea what are the key pieces of a platform. So you can see this, the most simple homepage is already shown here. There are some other prototypes I will show you lately. There are some how a message broadcasting works, what the video broadcasting works, what are all the server credentials, etc. Image processing part, video conferencing part. So we a lot of moving pieces, because we are, it's not just another web platform. Right? A lot of it kind of these servers operating on different protocols and kind of all of them talking to each other. So it's kind of distributed system. This is how real-time media works. There are other examples. If there are people and artists, for example, we had a person working with P5, which is kind of progress. Like if you have processing, it's just a JavaScript version of it. It would look like this. So basically, not too many lines of code, and here is another kind of room for something that David was showing. This is my room now here. Yeah, it was meant for residence members, and you can see if I move now, this image is broadcasted from the live platform into a chat. Yeah, I'm reloading it now. You see, I removed the filter, so my image is becoming back. I rechange it. The filter will be there again. And also when I click it, you can see I'm posting it back. So I'm kind of creating this kind of virtual character after a processing in kind of totally different server, totally different environment, into a different language even, and we can send images back. Currently, we work with the text and the images. There are also ways to work with other kind of data, just the numeric data. We're exploring also the means of streaming kind of chunks of audio and chunks of video. So we're going to be more richer media types. But
and may I generalize it here? Jump in and generalize it because it is very nerdy. And there is that the idea is behind our research, like online, what we're doing, like online, like a platform, is that what is the like bare minimum, like what is needed actually to create a platform and perform online, and how this data, what is already there, can be used in different purposes to help to generate the performance. And also what goes to the next step is to audience engagement, and then like what the audience participation, and like that the idea that there is a performance and there is a spectator who just is watching the performance. This goes out of not scope, but it goes out of like online performance. It's not engaging anymore because our media consumption, our media consumption is different. Thanks to Facebook, thanks to Instagram, there's like we scroll like new info, but we have to work in different layers to get audience engaged. Then we do audience online performance. That was Gigawatt, and we were showing a code that is kind of explanation that we try to deconstruct what is happening there and what data could be usable and what data is like pointless for us from this perspective of online performance.
Where it has to be a kind of a next level of immersion, next level of interaction, next level of engagement in this kind of performative spaces. We don't know what it is. We know what doesn't work. Watching video for hours, transmitted this kind of from a classical theater setup doesn't work, of course. So it has to be something in a new level. What it is, it has to be discovered. We built the framework, the platform, the data layer, in order to kind of extract those ideas out of it to see what is possible. We are not yet there. There is not some ideas and some research experiments. So I now like to move on kind of the next level. Right now we were talking about this, the moment when you're actually in the experience, like you are watching the performance, you are any kind of wider sense event or entertainment. There is a certain ritual about it. So the idea is that you go there, but the journey to that physical space is a part of the experience itself. The journey out of that space is journey of itself. Where you set up expectations, where you set up the moods, everything contributes. Everything contributes to the total experience. And in digital world, we kind of can make the center part of experience work, but it's super hard to have this kind of smooth, gradual entrance ritual and exit ritual, what we all really long. Sometimes if people are coming back from a performance or theater or movie night or conference, you ask like how were representations, and they're saying, not too good, but I met some really good people and have a really interesting conversation outside of the performance of itself. So how to provide this conversation, how to provide this communal feeling, being part of something, how to take us through that certain ritual.
That we got inspired from actually the theater the experience. That was a point that we got, that we divided it roughly into 4. That the first is, the moment when you are in front of a theater and you think like, should I go in? And you can see the sign and you decide, make a decision, I want to see the performance. And you buy a ticket and you go into theater. And then will be the next stage.
When we started to research it, what it actually takes to create this kind of virtual rooms. We didn't want to go to the high fidelity, this kind of crazy virtual worlds and VR stuff. So we went back to the beginning of a modern theater, right? To the black box. Like if there is nothing, what is actually kind of props you need kind of minimum amount of props you need to create some kind of communal space, some kind of waiting room, some kind of ritualistic room, right? So we started with something very simple. We just created this kind of like a sketch of a room, just to see what is needed to provide you that experience. So is it hell or hello? It already or changed the meaning. So we're just playing around with this kind of space. We added also some sounds to see how it could fill this kind of ambiance. I don't know if you hear it or not, but so basically we simulated, actually had the recordings from some production theater houses from Tallinn, and try to provide try to overlay them to a room. So we had a lot of fun, and also we noticed that even if we went to the basics of kind of like stage production, like we saw that with just a very simple changes in a lighting can really change the atmosphere. But there is something critical missing here. It's cool to create this kind of virtual simplistic spaces. If we don't have a means of creating this kind of rich real world like environments, we just provide this kind of sketchy things and make your mind, your brain actually do the rendering or do the creation of a world. We just make the schematic things. But the critical thing is missing. We're missing people here, right? The simulated sounds are fine, but when we went on and were looking into how to create the virtual space with some kind of proxies of people. So if you see, I can also paste it to a chat. So if some of you have a second and another window, just join me in this space. You will luckily be showing up in space, and there is a way of, oh, hey guys, so you can change your name here, or actually chat with me. I need to clear some space. You can actually see me. Yeah, you can move around. So the experiment was there to show that people are incredible with abstractions. So actually, you don't need that much of like real world graphics. Even the small movements and changes and moving in a space can communal performance experience. We tried with different people and saw that the moment people are getting used to a space and this kind of clunky interface, we start to perform. We actually start to create some kind of interactions between each other. We saw people actually making with no briefing. People were starting to create alphabets, to build objects, interact with each other in a nice or a nasty way. So a lot of stuff happened in that space, even if it's such a schematic world. So that gave us a hope and encouragement that maybe we don't need those kind of super rich environments to make you feel be part of it, make you get you to that state of enjoying something together. So this is just a sketch, but it turns out that fun can be had even with an environment that everybody is a fried French chip, or whatever you call it. So you can hang around there, but I'm moving on now to a second experiment. We were also starting to think that maybe those 3D things are still kind of a bit too clunky to work with, and how can we make this kind of experience even more accessible? So something what we're working with, for example, is kind of spaces. We had some generated background music, and I think we are right now ready to move on and provide this kind of coherent experience based on with all the 2D, 3D backend systems, integrations.
Basically, the idea is that we're wrapping it up, and that we've been playing around with that we had this theater experience kind of sketch. That there is people in front of a theater who make decision to go to theater. Then there is a lobby where people walk around, getting cognac, going to toilet, winking to people who they like, and then there is a performance. And the performance, like in classical theater experiments, is kind of a main entertainment part. But there is also a fourth part, which is leading this performance. That you are not just kicked out after the performance, but you can clap, and people are bowing, and you can have this proper, by the say farewell or waving for goodbye. And so our idea is that also these experiments maybe should be recreated in online environment. That is this first part, like what is to go into theater to make a decision. This we don't know yet. We have worked with it. But there's the lobby part that Kika is showing. Is the lobby? Is it a virtual, or is it a 3D, or is it a 2D? It doesn't matter. But the important is that that somehow people can kind of tune in to this experience. Then there is a performance, whatever the performance is. How much interaction in this performance has? Is it like full-on audience participatory theater, or is it just laid back checking what's going on? And then there should be somehow guiding people out from that experience, like as it is in classical theater thing. So that was what we've been explaining you, and this is our last video. We are open for Q&As after that.
My name is Kaie, and I am manager in Elektron. Elektron is a performing arts platform uniting arts, sciences, and new technologies. During Garage 48 Hackathon for the Future, my team has created an unprecedented experience, Elektron Live Lobby, to solve the problem of online entertainment loneliness.
With an estimated 1.2 million jobs in Europe, the performing arts sector is the largest employer among the cultural industries. 200 million people in EU are going to see live shows at least once a year. During the pandemic, the ticket sale for performing arts dropped 75%. That market is not revived by just showing Facebook Lives. Current online platforms have failed to provide the social experience that live arts depend on. Elektron Live Lobby is an online space mimicking real-world social gatherings. Each viewer who enters the page is assigned a bubble. If the webcam is on, the bubble has live video of the viewer. You can type your text above the bubble to chat with others. Conversations are not saved, they have no history, just like in real life. You can move around, and if you see your friends talking, you could move closer and talk to each other as a group. When the performance starts, the lobby will automatically direct you to the show. In April 2020, we created a unique two-way streaming platform, Elektron Live, and since then, we have been showing 56 international performances to approximately 11,000 viewers, some even from communist China.
At Elektron, we are continuously inventing new mediums for live arts and performances. Elektron Live Lobby is a social space, public yet intimate enough, just like the real theatre lobbies and venues around the world. Welcome to Elektron Live Lobby.